Unfortunately, there is no major prospect call up for today, but I do have 5 prospects that you need to stash, and I also have 5 injured players that you need to stash as well on today's action-packed episode of Locked On Fantasy Baseball.
You are Locked On Fantasy Baseball, your daily fantasy baseball podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, fantasy baseball fanatics, and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Baseball podcast, brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. As always, we're your number one source of fantasy baseball knowledge, and thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. I'm your host, Dominick Martino, riding solo today, as you can see if you're watching on YouTube. And if you are watching on YouTube and you haven't already, hit that little bell below. It's going to subscribe you to the channel and give you a notification every time we drop a new episode. Or if you're listening on the audio side of things on a platform like Apple or Spotify that allows 5-star ratings and reviews, we would truly appreciate it if you do that for us as well. And lastly, but what's most important to Matt and I and you guys, give us a chance on the Insider Track. Through the Insider Track, you're going to get exclusive alerts, updates when those major prospects get called up. You're also going to get, when we do our waiver wire ranking episodes, you're going to get those guys prioritized, how you should pick them up, and just so much more than we could offer in these 30-minute episodes. So if you are interested in joining us on the Insider Track, the link is in the bio wherever you're listening, watching, and it's available on any of our social media platforms. And all right, guys, let's get into it. We got some great names lined up for you today. As I mentioned, I know we had about I want to say about 5 or 6 episodes, at least that I was on, where we had a major prospect call up. Unfortunately, today, no major prospect call-ups as of yet. I'm recording on 8:55, tonight, on May 26th. So there might be a chance here, something comes through at the end of the night. But as of right now, nothing yet. But here's the fun news. I do have 5, major prospects that, honestly, all 5 of them are real major today. All really mustache kind of players. Then we'll do the injured players, and, that'll be the episode. But let's get into it. Let's start with Andrew Painter. Yes, Andrew Painter of the Philadelphia Phillies on his way back. Finally, it is about time, right? And the kid looks good so far. We forget he's still only 22 years. And he was one of the top prospects in all of baseball just a couple of years ago. He's back, like I said, down in the minors. He has 7 starts so far this year down there, a 3.09 ERA, 23 innings pitched, 27 strikeouts, 7 walks, a little bit more than we'd like to see with the walks, but, it's not horrible. Only 19 hits, 3 homers, 1.11 whip. He's starting to find that rhythm and that groove again, right? And I will say this, Andrew Painter has the upside and potential to come up and be a Spencer Strider-esque kind of guy, not with the major strikeouts, but he could come up, be well over a K per 9 and press in his rookie season. It really depends on what the Phillies want to do. Not a lot of room in that rotation at the moment. Even with you look at, Nola, who I still believe is out. Yes, he is. It's still crowded over there. So I think it's going to take another injury. Right now it's Wheeler, Christopher Sanchez, Taijuan Walker, Jesus Luzardo, and Ranger Suarez. I'm not a big Taijuan Walker guy, and I'm not a huge Ranger Suarez guy either. So I truly think, if they, especially Taijuan Walker, if he doesn't, perform well, I see them, pushing him back into that long relief role. Painter maybe gets the call. If he keeps performing like this, I think he's going to force their hand sooner than later. You got to get these top prospects up there and not waste these bullets in the minors, right? That's, it's normally the same. But for Painter himself, good stuff, good fastball, good secondary stuff, makes hitters swing and miss a lot, has been, like I said, really dominant during this rehab assignment. And then even in AAA, 3 of these starts have come in AAA, and he's only got better. 2.25 ERA for Painter across his 3 starts in AAA, 12 innings, 15 strikeouts, 1.25 whip. This is where the walks got a little bit out of control. It's 6 walks in 12 innings. So he does still need a little bit more work down there. Painter does, but I think he figures this thing out, and we see him, around All-Star break time. I is my prediction for Andrew Painter. But he's the kind of guy, when we get the word of any kind of whiff of this kid getting called up, he's going to be picked up everywhere universally. So if you're in a position, you're doing well in your league and you could afford to stash a guy like Painter, or if you got NA spots by some chance and he's not owned, definitely worth it. And he's got the frame 6'7", 215. You just love to see it. So Andrew Painter, Philadelphia Phillies starting pitcher. I personally think he is a must-stash at the moment. Now let's talk about his competition, who's already made his major league debut, and that's Mick Abel, another former high-end top pitching prospect. Not as good, not as good as Painter, but Mr. Mick Abel had a strong showing in his first performance. I believe it was against the Pirates. I'm going to fact check that in a second, but I'm pretty sure it was against the Pirates. Went 6 strong, 5 hits, 9 strikeouts, no walks. You love to see that. You love to see that kind of performance from a guy like Abel. Had the secondary stuff working too. That's kind of something he's been developing and working on over the past couple of years, and it's really starting to show. And then let's even talk about what Abel's been doing down in the minors this year for those Phillies, right? 9 starts, 2.41 ERA, 52 innings, 59 strikeouts, only 23 walks, a 1.20 whip. I said only 23 walks. That's a lot. Yeah, that's a bit too many. But it is better than what he had normally done. I was thinking in terms of, Abel himself. So, it's an improvement on what he's doing. Still like to see a little bit less. Like to see that whip be a little bit better. But like I said, Abel came up in his Phillies debut and was great. Looked really good. Had another kid that has good stuff. The Phillies are doing something over there, man. I think they're starting to get their minor league development, back on track here. We're known for it for a very long time. And then, even Abel's repertoire, we'll talk about that for a second. He's got the big fastball, sits at 97. Then mixes in the curve, mixes in a slider, mixes in a sinker, even throws a changeup a little bit. So you love to see the 5 pitches, had all of them working in that first start. So I honestly think I really do think Abel gets the chance before Painter. I'm going to say that. I think Abel gets the chance to come back up before Painter. He's been more successful in the minors this year. The major league debut was really good. Abel's down to 15% owned on Yahoo. I don't know if I mentioned what Painter was, but we're going to do that as well. 16% for Painter. That's honestly, that's a little bit high. That's a little bit high for me. Like I said, I think Abel gets the shot again before Painter, and Painter's more owned. It hasn't even made his major league debut yet. I'm on the Abel bandwagon. I'm not going to argue with you if you like Painter more. I think Painter has the higher ceiling. I think Abel has the safer floor. Andrew Painter is the number 5 prospect in all of MLB. Abel, I don't even know if Abel wound up, Abel is not ranked by MLB.com in the top 100 prospects. But you know what? There was a reason that he was a high-end prospect, Abel, when he was, drafted. Just hadn't figured it out until late. And what's my famous saying, guys? If you watch the podcast, you know what I'm going to say. Progress isn't linear, especially when it comes to these prospects. And Abel's a clear showing of that. So I like me some Mick Abel. Let's sneak one more prospect in here. Let's talk about Jack Caglianone. Oh, wow. We talked about Caglianone, I want to say 2 or 3 weeks ago. We're talking about him as a potential stash. Yeah, time's here. Time's here to get this guy stashed now. He's going to pull a Nick Kurtz, and he's going to force the hand here of those Kansas City Royals. He's been homering nonstop. Had I think it was a 2 or 3 game stretch. I think it was 2 game stretch where he had multi-home runs. It was 4 home runs, like I said, 2 or 3 games. Can't stop hitting bombs. He's up to 14 in 44 games, Caglianone is. That's over 178 at-bats. That is monstrous. He has 8 doubles over that time, 53 RBIs in 44 games is crazy. 20 walks to 41 strikeouts, not too shabby, and a 326 batting average to top it all off. Mr. Caglianone is going to do big things. He's a big boy at 6'5", 250, just a mountain of a man. Aaron Judge light over here, of the James Wood, Aaron Judge kind of build. Caglianone is actually up to 17% owned on Yahoo. Honestly, if you need somebody that plays first and is going to drive in some runs and give you some pop, I think Caglianone is definitely the guy to stash right now. If you don't got this guy who we're going to talk about later, number one prospect in all of baseball, if you're familiar, you know what I'm talking about. A little teasy tease, but Caglianone, man, he's got the makings of being an absolutely dominant major league player. Like I said, got the size, got the pop, not really much speed. We're not going to look at him for too much speed, but I think he can even contribute somewhat in batting average, even if he's a 275-ish kind of guy with a 30 home run kind of pace. That's impressive. And, you're getting that off the waiver wire for free right now if you can stash him. It's just really, where is he going to play? Maybe Jonathan India becomes more of a utility kind of guy, or Massey, whatever Kansas City wants to do, because I think the Pasquatch pretty much has first base locked down, Vinny Pasquantino, and he's been on a tear himself of late. I think he's been looking over the shoulder and he sees Caglianone there, and it might be driving him to play a little bit better. But with that being said, Jack Caglianone is a big time prospect. I think he's an absolute mustache. But before we move in, and I teased it, and I'll tease it again, I'll even say his name this time, Roman Anthony. We got him. We got Bubba Chandler, and then we'll move into some of these injured players, that you guys need to know about. All of those names and more coming up next. And all right, folks, I need to talk to you guys about my friends over at Supply House. Get the supplies you need from the site that's made for the skilled trades, Supply House. Whether you're into plumbing, HVAC, or electrical work, Supply House is the reliable way to order products online. The easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Plus, with a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from 400 top brands, you'll find exactly what you need delivered fast from coast to coast. Need help with an order? Supply House offers expert support and industry-leading service, so you'll always talk to a real person. And for the trade pros looking for an extra edge, their free TradeMaster program offers exclusive perks like a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Thousands of skilled professionals are already taking advantage. Now it's your turn. Join the TradeMaster program today at supplyhouse.com/TM and start ordering plumbing, HVAC, and direct electrical supplies with just a few clicks. Plus, use the promo code SH5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. And all right, guys, if you're struggling in your fantasy league and, maybe sitting in the middle, middle bottom, and then even if you're at the top, we might be able to help you guys out too, put you over the top. Give Matt and I a chance on the Insider Track. On the Insider Track, you can ask us all the questions that you got. If you need some help with pickups in your league, you send us over your waiver wire. We'll help you out there. And then even when we do our waiver wire shows, we always talk about 10 guys. We'll have those guys ranked for you. And I tell you why you should prioritize them in the order that we're giving them to you. And then my favorite part, and your guys' should be favorite part, is those instant prospect call-up notifications that you're going to get before anybody else in your league. So you can go pick up the top prospects before anybody else gets to them. And once again, if you are interested in joining us on the Insider Track, where you're going to get access to all of that. The link is in the bio wherever you're listening, watching, and it's available on any of our social media platforms. And all right, guys, let's jump back in. I promised you a couple more prospects, so let's do a couple more prospects. And before we get into the number one prospect in all of baseball, let's talk about one of the best pitching prospects in all of baseball, and it's Bubba Chandler. So I will say this. I heard that the Pirates we actually did get a prospect call up today, but it's not a major one by any means. The Pirates called up one of their pitching prospects, Braxton. Blanking on the name. I know his first name it's Braxton something. The kid, the Braxton Ashcraft. Does that sound right, Dom? Yes, actually, there you go. It is Braxton Ashcraft. Not sure if he's related to Graham Ashcraft of the Cincinnati Reds. But Braxton Ashcraft having a bad year down in the minors, not really worth talking about. But let's talk about Bubba Chandler, who the Pirates should have probably called up. 10 starts for Bubba Chandler down in the minors, AAA to be specific. 2.27 ERA, 43 innings pitched, 61 strikeouts. Batters are hitting 178 against him with a 108 whip. I'll say this. I can't give you a great reason why Chandler wasn't called up over Ashcraft. Chandler might have pitched of late. I could see that being really one of the only major reasons that they decided not to call Chandler up over Ashcraft. But I think the willingness, we saw it with Skeens last year when he got the call. They kind of let Skeens pretty much fly. They might be trying to do that here with Chandler and just buy a little bit more time so they can let him do his thing once he does get the call. But man, when Chandler does, dude, he's got really, really good stuff. Big fastball, mixes in a nice slider with it, change up as well. But he can be really a difference maker, sits at 97 consistently, gets up to 99, 100. And we've seen it before. The Pirates are really, really good at developing prospects. They did it with Skeens, they did it with Cole, did it with Glass now. A lot of good players have come out of that Pirate system. I think Skeens and Chandler are going to be really good. Let's hope the Pirates hold on to them. And I will say this, Chandler, is pretty much high priority mustache at the moment, because I think if this Ashcraft thing doesn't work out, which I don't foresee it doing, maybe they move to Chandler. Maybe this kid Ashcraft gets a couple of starts and they say, hey, you know what? He's not working out. They move on to Chandler. And guys, I'll be very honest with you. I'm sorry to all your Pirates fans out there. Can't really name too many of your starting pitchers at the moment other than Skeens. Oh, Andrew Heaney as well. And Andrew Heaney and maybe Mitch Keller still there throwing too. But other than that, I mean, there's not too much else to be excited about over there in Pittsburgh. They need to get this kid Bubba Chandler up there immediately to start making an impact, because he really can do that. So let's move on. Guys, I saved him for last, or at least the last of the prospects. Number one prospect in all of baseball, Roman Anthony. This is our Roman Anthony check-in. We do this about once a month with Roman Anthony just to see where he's at and how he's doing down there in the minors. And if you're not familiar with the number one prospect in all of baseball, let me inform you. 6'3", 200 pounds, outfielder for the Boston Red Sox. He's basically a do-it-all kind of guy. And, I'll let his numbers do the talking so far this season. AAA, Roman Anthony, 47 games, 321 batting average, 37 runs, 8 doubles, 2 triples, 7 homers, 21 RBIs with 42 walks to 43 strikeouts and 3 steals. The kid could steal some bags. I wouldn't count on him consistently being like a monster when it comes to steals, maybe 25-ish. But the kid's got pop, man. He can hit you 30 bombs. The Red Sox lineup's only getting better. They called up Mayer finally. I don't think Anthony's too far behind. I think now I'll say this. Caglianone's given Anthony a great push for, my personal favorite hitting prospect. Anthony still takes the cake for me personally. But Roman Anthony is currently, let's see where he's up to on Yahoo. He's probably getting up there. 29% owned on Yahoo. Now's the time, guys. It's one of those moments that, hey, pause the podcast, and if Roman Anthony's out there in your league, and you might even have to make the room at this point to push him onto your roster. The kid's just that good. I think when Anthony gets the call, it's just going to be a fun show, and I think he's just going to take the league by storm. So stash Roman Anthony now. The kid could do it all. Power, a little bit of speed. The runs and RBI should be good. And the batting average, man. The batting average has always been, something Anthony's excelled at. He every year in the minors, 321, 291, 272, 306. It's going to translate. Reason there's this kid's number one prospect in all baseball. So go out there, stash Roman Anthony where you can. Let's sneak one IL guy in because it's a fun one, and he's actually getting a little bit closer. It's Shane Bieber. With Shane Bieber, guys, he's starting that rehab assignment. He's right on track. Let's see. I know they put a date to it. He's going to make a rehab start this upcoming Saturday. And it will be, like I said, in the Arizona Complex League. Then they'll push him out there, to the minors and see what he could do out there. I'd say probably going to need about 5-6 starts, including this one. It's coming up this Saturday. So, you're talking about a little bit over a month before we see Shane Bieber. But you know what, man, this guy's so good. I know we've talked about him almost to nauseum on this, stash list kind of episode. So if you don't want to hear about him anymore, sure, go ahead, move on. But listen, Bieber was a former, Cy Young winner, former really good pitcher, was off to a tremendous start in 2024 before he got hurt. 2 starts, 12 innings, 20 strikeouts, 0.97 whip. Even, you look back as recently as 2022, 31 starts, 2.88 ERA for Bieber, 200 innings, 198 strikeouts, 104 whip. Don't expect him to be that good, but could he be a low to 3 mid ERA kind of guy with the K per 9 and a decent whip? Yeah, Shane Bieber definitely could. And I just know it's getting to the point, especially in some of my deeper leagues, my 12-mans, my 15-mans, when I look at the waiver wire and I'm like, ugh, I don't want any of these pitchers. So I actually had Bieber was out there in the league I'm in, stashed him today. 27% owned on Yahoo for Shane Bieber. Not really too much to add here, except a lot of upside. He's actually, I believe he's only 30 years old this year. So he's still in a point where he's not too old. If he bounces back from this injury, well, we see good minor league rehab starts. The ownership's going to go up. It's going to go from 27 to 37 to 60 within a month, because then Bieber was going to be on his way back. Stash Shane Bieber now. Guys, but we are going to talk about Christian Encarnacion-Strand, Reese Olson, and more coming up next. And all right, guys, let's jump back in. Another guy we've talked about a lot, but this guy might be a weekly. He might be on the show weekly until he comes back. Eury Perez. Eury Perez, former top pitching prospect, pitches for those Miami Marlins. It's a great park to pitch in. Another big guy, not heavy, but Eury Perez, I believe he stands about 6'6", 6'7". 32% owned on Yahoo. He is going to make another rehab start on Wednesday, which is tomorrow as you guys are listening to this. And he's getting close. 7 strikeouts in his last rehab assignment, over 3 1/3. So almost struck out. Pretty much struck out everybody he faced, almost struck out everybody he faced. He's getting close, man. Only gave up 2 runs. He's got this new sinker that he's working with. He's getting some swings and misses with that. So I want to say it's 2 to 3 more rehab starts. I'm hoping Eury can build up to 5 innings in his next one, or at least get close. The one after that is going to be the real test, because then, if he builds up to 5 in the next start, the one after that's going to be, can he go 5 again? Can he get those strikeouts? Can he limit runs and walks? But man, he's hitting 100 down in these minor league, rehab starts. The kid's got a lot of upside because he's got good breaking stuff too to combo with that fastball. And let's talk about what Eury Perez did in 2023 when he, did get the call for the first time. Made 19 starts in 2023 for those Marlins, who he still pitches for. And as a 20-year-old, 91 strikeouts, 3.15 ERA, 91 innings, 108 strikeouts, 31 walks. 112 whip. The kid was really, really good. And like I said, he's got the making of an ace kind of guy. And like I said, the kid's 6'8", 220, actually. He's got a good, I didn't even realize, Eury must have been putting on some weight on this rehab assignment. I don't remember him listed as 220. But yeah, man, I like the frame on him too. This kid's really, really good. This is honestly one of those pause the podcast moments. Make sure Eury isn't out there in any of your leagues. My favorite IL stash that we're going to talk about today. I'll throw that out there for you guys if you stuck around this long. Let's move on to a bat. Let's mix a bat in here. Let's talk about Christian Encarnacion-Strand. And you guys know we kind of got our favorites around here. We kind of mix them around. As new names show up on the IL, we talk about them, but we want to make sure you guys are paying attention. Christian Encarnacion-Strand, only 14% owned on Yahoo. He kicked off his rehab assignment the other day, went, it was 2 for 7 with a double, 2 RBIs and a run scored. I'll say this, there might be room. There might be room for Strand in this lineup. A lot of underperformances there in Cincinnati. I think we could see him just get regular playing time once he's healthy. I'm going to be honest with you. Steer, is out there at first. He's been, if I recall correctly, he hasn't been absolutely killing it so far. I'm double checking myself here. I don't really have Steer in too many of my leagues. How is Steer doing on the season? If I wants to work with me here. But you know what the thing is, even if he is, he's not. 223 average on the year for Steer, 4 homers, not really impressing too much. 48 strikeouts to 15 walks. I'll say this, if Strand comes out and he is just absolutely raking, they got to keep this kid in the lineup. I want to show you what or at least talk to you guys about what he did a few years ago. So in 2023, when Strand first got the call to the bigs, he had 63 games, 222 at-bats, 29 runs, 7 doubles, 13 homers, 37 RBIs, 270 batting average. And then even in the minors, I believe it was that same year, I think it was the 2023 where he was having that monster minor league season before he got the call. Fact checking myself here. Yeah. No, actually, 2022. Let's talk about 2022, what Strand did back then in the minors. 122 games, 484 at-bats, 76 runs, 31 doubles, 32 homers, 5 triples, 114 RBIs, 8 steals, hit .304. He's been a batting average darling. I'll say this. He, reminds me of that Austin Riley kind of mold where you're going to get a great batting average, a lot of power, good counting stats, and, not really a lot of speed. So I like Strand a lot, man. He's going to be a really, really good bat if you're getting him off the waiver wire. I'll be honest with you. If you're snagging Strand off the waiver wire and you're actually able to stash this guy, could be a huge difference maker in fantasy. And then let's just double check. So 15 games actually down there. It looks like in the minors so far for Strand. 57 at-bats, 4 runs, 2 doubles, 2 homers, 5 RBIs, 158 batting average. That's not actually in the minors. That's the majors so far. That's before he got hurt. So actually, yeah, I did read off earlier was right. The 2 games, 7 at-bats, 2 doubles, 2 RBIs, hitting .286 so far in his minor league rehab assignment. Really like that from him. I think he's going to be solid. Like I said, not too much else to add. Power, batting average, counting stats, go out there, grab Strand, stash him now while you still can. If I didn't say it, and if I did, 14% owned on Yahoo for Strand. Let's move into this next guy. Let's talk about Mr. Reese's Pieces Olson. He's a little bit more on the higher end when you're talking about being owned. I think he's 61% owned, but I did see that number has been coming down of late. So that's why I want to talk about him. If Reese Olson was dropped in your league with a recent injury, doesn't seem like it's going to be too long. He's already throwing again. And honestly, might need a couple of bullpen sessions, and then he might just be back out there in that Tigers rotation because it's really not a huge serious injury. And Olson has been great on the year. 9 starts, 4 wins, 2.96 ERA, 1.17 WHIP, 48 innings, and 51 strikeouts. Having that big breakout year, Reese Olson was somebody that I ranked fairly high coming into the year, higher than the industry. Just thought he had a lot of upside. And I don't think anyone thought this Tigers team was going to be as good as it is. Going to win those games. He has a lot of great mentors in that pitching staff. He's got Schoolbull. He's got Mines. He's got Jack Flaherty. So when you get to learn from great pitchers, it rubs off on you sometimes. So I think this kid Reese Olson, is going to keep things rocking and rolling when he gets back. Has the stuff to do it. And, like I said, pitches in a great park that suppresses power. So even if he is getting hit around a little bit at times, and they got pretty solid defense too, I'll be honest with you, this Detroit team. Let's talk about Olson's repertoire real quick. Leads with that sinker, sits at about 95. Batters are hitting that one around a little bit. So maybe Reese Olson, the trick is to switch it up a little bit because you know what? Batters aren't getting to his fastball. Maybe the sinker is the thing that's keeping the fastball, off balance there, breaking different directions and stuff like that, keeping hitters off balance. But he gets really good results on every other pitch besides the sinker. So maybe he backs off that sinker a little bit and, plays up the regular 4-seam fastball, the slider, the changeup, because they're all doing really well. Even the curveball, I don't think anyone's hit his curveball yet. He's only thrown it 46 times, but hasn't given up a hit with it. So a guy like this, a guy like Reese Olson that, is still fairly young. How old is he? I know he's 25 years old, great mentors, great organization. They're doing big things over there in Detroit. I'm buying in on Reese Olson, and honestly, Bieber and Eury are good, but the thing with Olson is if you have all 3 of those guys available by some chance, I want Olson for the proximity, pitches for a better team than those other 2 guys, and has been really good this year, and I love to see that K per 9 bump up over the K per 9 there. So with Reese Olson, stash him now, should be back. I honestly want to say wouldn't be shocked if it's about 2 weeks or so for Reese Olson. Guys, but with that being said, that is all for today. Please be sure to like, subscribe, comment, rate, and review. And shout out to our everydayers and new listeners for making Locked On Fantasy Baseball your first listen each and every day. And after you make us your first listen, go check out our boy Sully over at Locked On MLB and make him your second listen each and every day. And then, guys, just wanted to say once again, everydayers and new listeners, really appreciate all of you, is what you bring, to the table here. You guys, make it possible for Matt and I to do this every day, and we truly appreciate that, guys. But until next time, so